welcome to my channel. Well, in this episode we are going to take a look at this really cool radio, the RADIOMASTER TX16S. Now, if you've been watching my series of videos on FPV for beginners, you will see I recommend this radio as one of the radios to get to fly FPV drones. Now, I haven't used this one because it just arrived, so I'm out here today to check this radio out. Now, I should also mention that RADIOMASTER was very kind and they actually wrote Captain Drone on the power button on the radio. And does that mean I'm going to give this a positive review? Well, let me tell you this. A lot of people have reviewed this radio already and they love it. I have the Jumper T18, that's one I use as well. These new Basher radios are all called multi-protocol radios. So this is a 1 in 4 protocol. What that means is that if you buy this radio, you can have a receiver from Spectrum, FrSky, FlySky, Futaba, and it will bind to all those receivers, which is pretty cool because normally you buy one radio and it can only bind to one type of receiver. So this is like a 4 in 1 protocol and it's pretty cool. And you can, if you wish, put Crossfire on the back. It is compatible with that. In addition, this one has the Hall gimbal, so you know those are like top notch, that's for sure. Hall gimbals are really good. It is pretty bright out here and all these radios come with these really bright screens. Let's see if this is bright enough. See, can you see it? Probably can't see it too well. It's really sunny, but you can hear the voices. 4.3-inch color display, has voice, audio. You can actually charge the battery by putting a USB cable on the back, so the batteries you put in the back, your 7.4 volts, can be charged. That's really convenient if you want to leave this sit overnight or something, charge it up. It's really good, so you're ready to go the next day. More switches on it than you can ever imagine. For us guys in the FPV hobby, we only need like 3 switches, so pick any 3 you want, and those are the ones you're going to use in your hobby. If you don't know anything about a radio and how to set it up or configure it, well, watch episode 9 of my FPV for beginners. I show you exactly how to set up a radio just like this and bind to a quad and do all the beta flight stuff, and it's very simple when you watch my video. But today we're out here with this because I've never used it to fly a drone. So I'm going to fly a drone with this radio and give you my thoughts as I'm flying the drone of what do I think about it. Then we'll go indoors and I will show you it a little bit more in detail. All right, I got all my gear back here, so let's see what we have. So we're going to use my Fat Shark goggles. That's what I'm going to wear to fly the quad. Got the radio, it's already powered on. And the drone I'm going to use today is the GEP-RC Mark IV. So let's go fly this baby. All right, power on the drone. All good, it's connected to the radio. We are set to go. All right, I've got this GoPro right here. Can you see from the side? And that is gonna film straight down. So when I'm holding the controller down here, you can see how my fingers are moving. And it will give you a better idea of my first impressions of flying this here quad, which is over that way. It's really early in the morning and nobody's around, but the sun is bright and low in the horizon. Make sure we are in acro mode. Perfect, and let's arm it. Here we go. First flight. All right, checking out the joysticks. How are they? Whipping by trees here. This is a really fast drone, the Mark IV. So it's good for people who have been flying for a while, and I will show you it's also good for beginners. So there I am flying over me, coming down this little pathway. So the response from the joysticks is outstanding so far. Yeah, I really like that. I'm just moving them a little bit and I'm getting the perfect flight. So next thing we're gonna do is let's try some slow flying. So let's bring it back over to me. I'm slowing down here, reducing speed, reducing height. And are the joysticks good enough for that? Coming by me, and let's just spin around, slow it down. All right, so this looks pretty good so far. Look at this, I'm going nice and slow. I could go right over the car, trying not to hit my wife's car. She would get upset with that. Whew! Just felt that wind over my head. And let's boot it. Let's go see. So on this radio, range is supposed to be really good. I'm using Fat Shark goggles, so my range is determined by my Fat Sharks. But yeah, I can go right to the end of the field. Fat Sharks are still good even out here. And look at that, I'm gonna come all the way back. I'll bring it back at higher speed. I don't want to go too fast because I will deplete my battery in no time at all. Yeah, I'm way back here. Coming back, coming back, coming back. Really easy to fly. So let's try some freestyle with this then. Let's go this way, typical freestyle. Let's try it nice. Let's try a nice slow spin. Whoa, pull up before we hit the trees. There we go. Really nice. And let's try some typical, you know, dodging objects. So let's go down. Of course, the farther I am away now, dodging objects, the harder it is to see because my fat sharks are going to start to give me interference. Yeah, so I have to come up and a little bit closer because fat sharks, with the antennas I have on, the trees do cause interference. But overall, really good. So I'm going to tell you right now, this controller here is as good as the best of the best. Yeah, this radio is really, really good. I'm moving the joysticks minimal, which I'm used to. I don't have to relearn how to fly a quad. It works just like all my high-end radios, so yeah, everything's good. You can really have a blast with this thing. So if you're a beginner, you'd probably fly it a lot slower. And by flying it slower, the controls have to be a lot more accurate. As you see here, I'm going around, looking around the net. I can't go throw it because I will get tied up inside. And how does it feel in my hand? Now, a lot of people want to know that. Well, in the hand, it feels really good because they stuck these two ridges of plastic on the bottom, and my fingers are actually wrapped around those two ridges. I didn't realize that, but yeah, they're holding it really tight. So even if I was out here with sweaty hands, not a problem whatsoever. It would do quite well. All right, I'm gonna have to bring it back now. I'm getting the low battery warning that I've depleted my battery, so let's just bring it down and let's do a little hover here. It's giving me this warning in my screen saying, land now. There we go. We are landed. All right, my first flight with the TX16X, I will say, yeah, thumbs up. This is a really good radio. It's as good as any quality radio on the market. It feels really good in the hands. And those plastic ridges I was talking about, let me show you right here. You can see it in the sun. See right here, this one and this one? I didn't realize it, but when I held onto it, my fingers wrapped around that and held onto it really tight. Like your thumb goes right up here and the ridges hold that. So somebody's put a little thought into that, and that's pretty good. For somebody like me, holding it in the back and then my thumbs, some people are pinchers, so I don't know how they hold on to radios, but I'm a thumb guy. So yeah, for me it works really nice. I like this a lot. You can really tell that these are quality gimbals too when you're flying, because the slightest of movements, your drone does exactly what it's supposed to do. You know, you're not just jerking, nothing happens, then doing it again. These are really quality gimbals. The range with this is farther than those FPV analog goggles I had. So I couldn't test the full range, but I will say for as far as I went, yeah, it's very responsive, no issues there. I have gone really far with a Jumper T18, and this is supposed to have a slightly farther range because it does have the external antenna up here. And since I mentioned the Jumper T18, the only thing I noticed with this radio compared to the Jumper T18 is that outdoors, the Jumper T18 screen is a bit brighter, and the Jumper T18 audio has a big speaker in the center and it's a bit louder. This one here with the noise, there's like a cleaning truck going behind me. The noise on this one, I want to switch modes. See, you can't hear anything. It's very low, and I've got it on full volume. Inside in the settings, I've got everything on full. It's not as loud as the Jumper T18. So if you're somebody who likes to listen to your audio cues around noisy people, you might find this not loud enough. All right, next thing to do is let's go indoors and take a really close look at this. Here we go. And now we're indoors. Here we have the RADIOMASTER. This is the case that comes in. It's a foam case, so I guess you could carry this to the field. It keeps it well protected and includes a few other things. So let's open it up and see what's inside. Here we have the RADIOMASTER, and there are some goodies in there. So let me pull out the RADIOMASTER and show you what's below it. In the bottom of this here foam case, you get a strap. You get some actual little joystick tops. I'll show you those in a second. USB cable. You also get a keychain and a few springs. So let me show you each item one by one. So you have the strap, the neck strap right here. A little bit of branding, RADIOMASTER. They include these too, which I think is pretty cool. You have two sets. You can see right here, you can change the tops of your joysticks to something a little bit more grippy. Next, you have your keychain, which is a little mini TX16S. Yeah, so it's a little keychain you can carry around with you, I guess. Extra springs for your joysticks. And finally, a USB cable that you'll use to charge up your TX16X, as well as connect it to your computer to use that as a remote joystick for simulators, or to access the files on the micro SD card that's inside. And now we'll take a really quick tour of the RADIOMASTER TX16S. All right, starting on top. On top you have your antenna here, and it is non-removable. You cannot unscrew that antenna. You are stuck with that. You also have your ports up top. So the round one that you see, that's a trainer port, and the USB-C one you see right there, that's to connect to your computer to use this as either a joystick for a simulator or to actually grab the files off the bottom where your micro SD card goes. So let's check the rest out. You have typical switches that you could use for almost any RC hobby. So you have your momentary switch, 3-position switches. You have 2-position, 3-position, all over the place. And over here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can press them in. That would be a 6-position switch. 2 potentiometers on the top. Right here. Moving down, trim switches, trim switches, trim switches. We don't use those in the FPV hobby. Hall effect gimbals, power buttons right here, and they kindly wrote Captain Drone on it, as well as they wrote Captain Drone on these buttons as well. This would be your system button. That's your back button to get you out of stuff. Then you have your page button forward and backwards, and at the bottom you have your telemetry button. On this side is your model button, and here we have a scroll wheel that is actually made of metal, and I will say it's really good. Below we have a 4.3-inch display screen, and it is touch screen. Whenever OpenTX becomes touch, which it isn't now, so maybe you have to wait to the year 2021 before it's touch, but at least this is capable of handling touch screen. Going to the bottom, we have more ports, and if I get this rubber piece out, you can see right here is where you're going to put your micro SD card. It does come with one, and it comes with a really crappy one, so I'd highly suggest that you take out the crappy one, transfer all the files onto a good one, and put a good one back in there. That's your USB-C for charging. It is very, very slow to charge. Yes, you might want to take the batteries out and charge them separately. And you do have 2 additional ports here and here of items that I will never use because I am in the FPV drone hobby, and that is not something I would use. Going to the side, you do have sliders right here, and they do have a center point. You have another one on the other side. Going down the side, we have nothing, 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 and nothing, nothing, nothing on the rest of the side. Flipping it to the rear, we see at the top we have a handle that is solid. It is not foldable. Here we have our modular bay port where you can fit something nice like a Crossfire transmitter right in there. And going down here, this is where you'll put your batteries. Like most radios, it does not come with batteries, so they do include a battery tray, and I have 18650 batteries in there, and they're plugged in the bottom. You can put any type of 2-cell battery system in here and just connect the balance port. And a lot of people are pretty excited that you can actually charge up the batteries through USB, but as I mentioned, it's pretty slow, so I have an external charger right here that I put the 18650s in, and this will charge them up in, well, a half an hour pretty much, sometimes an hour. It depends how depleted they are. It's really good. And finally, let's take a quick look at the interface. Power this on, you'll hear it start up.
Welcome to OpenTX.
There we go. So everything, it's going to give me some warnings.
Quietly step back from the pilot and live to see another day.
Those are all sounds I put in this because it is OpenTX, so you can configure it as you wish. And just like the screen, you can see I have the Matrix theme going on, plus the way everything is set up. That's just the way I set up stuff on this radio and many other radios. So you can see here with your system button, you can go in and change all your settings. And using the page button, I go through all the menus. And with this button here, that's your model button. So I have one model right there. If I want to go into the model and change any settings on that, there we are. Once again, use the page buttons and go through everything in your model, and you can go forward and backwards. Here I have the included RADIOMASTER neck strap, and I just want to show you how heavy duty they made the locking mechanism right there. That's pretty heavy duty. Anyways, let me just show you if it balances nicely. So I'm going to let go of everything, and there you go. If that's around your neck, yeah, it's pretty well balanced. Nice. We do have a speaker included right here. The screen shows very bright colors, and it is a touch screen, but unfortunately it is not activated yet because OpenTX does not support touch at this time. Having used this radio now for a little bit, my favorite feature on this radio would be right here, the way your fingers wrap around. For a budget radio, it's pretty darn good. And yes, it is a budget radio. It does not cost very much. It's not like, you know, a Spectrum radio. This is a very expensive radio. This is like in the $600 range, and everything on here is like amazing. And it's all touch screen, and yes, I know it talks, but this is a high quality radio. This is a budget radio. However, for 99% of you in the hobbies of planes and drones and everything else, this radio is pretty darn awesome. And honestly, if this radio broke on me and I only had this radio, I would be just as happy because it feels really darn good in the hands. It is decent. It's really good. I like this one. All right, I hope you enjoyed my review of the RADIOMASTER TX16S. If you want to know where to get this radio, the links are below. Check them out. And I will say, this is obviously for the price. This is the best radio on the market for the price. For the features somebody in the FPV hobby is going to use day to day, this is probably the radio to own for that. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you in a future video with many more reviews. Take care.